Up the pipe!
Okay, wow. What a money grubbing bitch Jack is after all. Anyway. G'day guys, Nate here. This is not a team selections or final word video. Just doing an updated video here or for a couple of reasons. I had 3 videos exactly up in the pipeline for this week, particularly discussing finals and just throwbacks or flashbacks to, I guess, my childhood and discussing Collingwood stories. But I'll make a brief mention of it here. Bit impromptu, no highlights or images or anything like that in regards to final stories to be told here. This is just going to be isolated to Adelaide games, the 3 games we've played against them previously in finals. In terms of team selections, we're going into Thursday night with 2 changes. Will Parker comes in for Jeremy Howe. Jeremy Howe obviously injured. He's out for 1 to 2 weeks. I'll display the updated injury list. And Dan McStay has been dropped for Mason Cox. It's not surprising. It's not surprising at all. This was months, weeks, or days even. I've gone backwards on that one, but um, I'm not surprised by Dan McStay being dropped. He has not been the same since kicking that 60-metre bomb against Carlton in that third quarter. Just hasn't been right or been the same since. Now, it's not entirely Dan McStay's fault. I do think managing players in the past, in that 4 or 5 game patch period, whatever, has disrupted my speech here, but it's also disrupted Dan McStay's form. He's played number 2 or almost number 1 forward and also having to pinch hit in the ruck and also filling a hole down back when Jeremy Howe got knocked out against Hawthorn. So he's been doing a little bit of everything. No defined role. I think Dan McStay is capable of having a big performance in a final, as evident in the 2023 prelim final before his knee injury. And even in the qualifying final against Melbourne in 2023, he was pretty decent there. And also in 2022, playing for Brisbane. Big O got knocked out in the first few minutes. Dan McStay had to hold his own in the ruck against Nankervis, and he did just that and had a decent game in the semi-final win over Melbourne. And then obviously that prelim loss there, his last game for Brisbane. So a bit unfortunate for Dan McStay. It's hopefully for him at least, it's not a prolonged agony for him. 2022 obviously gets knocked out in the prelim final and also moves from Brisbane to Collingwood. 2023, Collingwood wins the flag without Dan McStay out due to that knee injury in the prelim final. And then last year, mostly out due to injury, and his old team wins the flag. And here we are now. Brisbane could go back to back, and Dan McStay could miss out on a premiership at Collingwood as well, if Collingwood goes that far. So there's no justice in footy, and Dan McStay is feeling the brunt of that at the moment. So got to support him, got to put your arm around him. Hopefully, he's able to redeem himself in September if he's called upon again, either in the semi-final or the prelim final. But it's a big chance of Mason Cox. He showed good form in the VFL. If you've been watching my VFL reports and also just keeping up to date with the VFL in general, obviously we're not playing the VFL this year. We've been knocked out. But Mason Cox, more than holding his own, reliable up forward and also in the ruck. He will likely play ruck forward, more so up forward. He's going to nullify Adelaide's intercepting abilities, so good chance to expose Adelaide on the ground, particularly up forward. For us up forward, apply that forward 50 pressure as well. We're one of the best sides in it still for forward 50 pressure, getting it inside 50. If we are efficient inside 50 and also converting, be accurate as well, we're in it to our eyeballs. Another interesting stat with Mason Cox, he's never lost to the Adelaide Crows. We match up well against them. Mason Cox matches up well against them as well, up against some old teammate, or Mark Keane, the old teammate, but also just other players as well. Mason Cox loves to be fiery against, so hopefully he brings the hostility or he's able to combat the Adelaide fire that is. And yeah, we've got an interesting Thursday night qualifying final game to kickstart the final series and hopefully prove to the AFL and the entire world, if they're watching, that we're not too old and too slow and that we are the best team in the competition. And it starts now. So yeah, not surprised by the Dan McStay news or the selection news of Dan McStay out, Mason Cox in, Will Parker coming in for Jeremy Howe. Similar to the round 23 game, comes in, had a decent game there. So hopefully he's able to have another decent game or play a little bit better. There's murmurs he'll be tagging or playing on Ben Keys. I'm not too sure we'll be looking at something like that for Will Parker. We've never really tagged anyone or been accountable or anything like that. Hopefully Will Parker's able to play his game. He's much better as that connector, get that receiving kick out of D50, scan the field and go forward, and also provide a bit of grunt work as well. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting tactical battle, this one. Can we cause the upset? Adelaide's first final series since 2017. Are they nervous? Are they gettable? Are they anything? They're on a 9-game win streak. Can we snap their 9-game win streak and provide some headaches for them going forward? Or are we just too old, too slow? We're going out in straight sets. I've been copying it a lot from a few mates and whatnot in terms of our chances here. And I don't want to see a straight sets exit. I've never seen that in my lifetime. But this is a good little segue into just discussing final stories. Now, again, I had 3 videos in the pipeline, mostly me being a narrator, I guess, with highlights packages involved. I thought providing highlights would be the best way to just advance my videos and just or not skyrocket, but just reach into the stratosphere, getting to 500 subscribers and beyond. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, by the way. Give the videos a like, comment all things Collingwood, share your stories in the comments as well. And we're off to the prelim, a home prelim final against Adelaide, who were, I think, 3 or 4 weeks on the road at the time. Round 22 on the road, round 23 qualifying, or not round 23, but the qualifying final. They got smashed against Brisbane at the Gabba. Semi-final, home semi-final for them. They hosted Melbourne at the MCG. That was back when the semi-finals of and also the first week of finals. There had to have been at least one game at the MCG, and unfortunately Adelaide had to host their semi-final against Melbourne at the MCG. One of the all-time great semi-final games as well. They got up by 12 points. They faced us in the prelim final and were able to run away in the second half, but I was particularly the third quarter, kicking 6 goals in the third quarter, and we won by 26 points. Most notably, the Anthony Rocker long bomb, the Ryan Loney 4 bounces running out of back pocket, not half back, but the back pocket, straight to Anthony Rocker, and Anthony Rocker goes bang. The most newsworthy story coming out of that game, though, was Jason Cloke's report on Tyson Edwards. The haymaker spoiled, got him flush on the nose, knocked him out. Tyson Edwards wasn't able to play the rest of the game, and he was suspended for it. Now, could we have won the O2 grand final with Jason Cloke? That remains, or that's the $64,000 question. We don't know. We like to think we can. Anthony Rocker's set shot miss late in the final quarter. That's the grand final. This is remaining on Adelaide. It is. I won't waffle or dive into that, but in regards to Adelaide games, beating Port Adelaide in the O2 qualifying final, the first final in my lifetime, I have it on DVD alongside the prelim final. The next finals game we played against Adelaide was the 08 elimination final. We finished 8th at the time. The most newsworthy story for us that season was Heath Shaw and Alan Didak's discretions, suspended for the remainder of the season, regardless of how we performed. Adelaide fell to 5th on the back of St Kilda decimating Essendon by, I think it was over 100 points, but they got the percentage to somehow sneak in the 4th. Adelaide fell to 5th, and we took on Adelaide at Amy Stadium, and we beat Adelaide by 31 points. Just I don't have a lot of memories of the 08 elimination final, but it was a roller coaster game. We had a fast start. We got out to a 20-point or 3 or 4 goal lead in the first quarter. Adelaide then got out to a 3 or 4 goal lead late in the second quarter. Then we got out to a 3 or 4 goal lead late in the third quarter. And I think the goal that sealed it for us was Dale Thomas's Hail Mary long shot from a forward half stoppage outside 50, floats through for a goal, pretty much on the siren, and we were able to hold on to that lead. Adelaide got to within 8 points, and we were able to kick away halfway through the final quarter, producing the interstate final win, something that fans think we're not capable of. We don't like the travel, apparently. That was our 3rd interstate win in my lifetime. We had the O2 qualifying final, the O7 semi-final, and also the O8 elimination final. And then the third, I guess, game against Adelaide in finals was the 09 semi-final. This was probably the most gettable one for Adelaide against us. They smashed Essendon by a lot in the elimination final. We lost by 28 points to St Kilda in the qualifying final. That was a game where our cheer squad or the fan base were in the front road end. We got kicked out of our usual spot, and we were vulnerable. We were shaky. We were injury prone in that 09 semi-final. Pendlebury fractured his leg the week prior. Rocker wasn't named for this game. And we were down by 5 goals for most of the first half. Patrick Dangerfield for Adelaide at the time kicking 2 goals. We only kicked 3 goals up until half time. I remember Lumumba's long shot, 60-metre set shot, went through post height. And then a fast breaking third quarter, Ben Johnson kicks 2 magnificent curling goals. We got out to a 2-goal lead at 3-quarter time. Then Adelaide clawed their way back thanks to Kurt Tippett. And then it was goal for goal. Not goal for goal, but McCaffrey kicks a running goal. Lee Brown's set shot, that's underrated still for me, that 55-metre long bomb. What a time to rise. Kurt Tippett kicks 4 goals, and then Jack Anthony's goal with seconds left. The free kick was there, and if you watch the full game as well, there was plenty of occasions where Adelaide defenders and even the ruck in our forward half stoppages or boundary throw-ins are holding onto our arms at all times, and that bit them on the arse in the end. Adelaide fans can say, Rob's right in front of me and whatnot, but the free kick was there. They don't usually get paid in those high pressure, tight situations, but it was paid there. And we win the semi final and we get smashed in the prelim final. But the rest is history. I'll talk more about final stories for other opposition games and in either the semi final or the prelim final, but that's just my recollection of final stories and just flashback memories, I guess. In terms of Collingwood stories, we've got a core playing group this year that have their own individual stories to be told, and a team destined for a 17th premiership and aiming to be or get back on top for the most VFL, AFL premierships ever in the sports history for the first time since 80 or 81. We've got a story to complete here, and each player has their own individual story. We'll start from the top. Darcy Moore, he has the chance to become Collingwood's fourth captain in history to win multiple premierships and the first to do so since 1936. The Dacos brothers, they could become the first set of brothers to win a premiership at Collingwood, or multiple premierships at Collingwood since 1936. The Colliers being the last to do so. Scott Pendlebury will break Gordon Coventry's record for most finals played as a Collingwood player, equal with 31. He'll surpass that with 32 finals games on Thursday night. Him and Steele Sidebottom, they could become the 21st and 22nd players for Collingwood in history to win 3 or more premierships at Collingwood. Check and Jamie Elliott. I am waffling on and going around circles and just bring up random names and whatnot, but just bear with me. Everyone's got a story. Check and Elliott. I'll combine those together. Both out of contracts. Elliott didn't kick a goal in the grand final in 2023. Check wants 2 years, being offered one. Is it their last rides at Collingwood? Brody Myercheck and Jamie Elliott, we'll find out. It's the last ride for Will Hoskin Elliott. He's a long shot of returning to the senior side, but does he get a final chance? Only a handful of games left for him in his career. Jeremy Howe, he's out until the semi-final at least. That's being optimistic, but can he get his body right? Can he return? I know he's extended for one more year, but can he return for one more tilt at a premiership here? And then we've got players playing their first final series for Collingwood, coming in from other clubs. They've got their own story to tell. Perryman coming in, he's lost his last 3 finals games. The 2023 prelim final against us, ironically, and then being knocked out in straight sets last year, losing to Sydney and Brisbane in games they should have won. So Perryman's got redemption on his own mind. Dan Houston missed Port Adelaide's finals campaign in 2024, knocking out Isaac Rankin. And in 2023, he got knocked down straight sets. Lockie Schultz only has 2 finals games to his bow, or if you want to call it that. And the last time he played a final was in the semi-final against us, where they lost, but he had a good game in the first half. Tim Membry has his own unique story. He's only played 2 finals games, but they were in 2020. So he hasn't played a finals game in Victoria. He had a chance to do so in 2023, but his mental health, his own personal story has been told. He says he's right. He says he's fit and he's never been better. Hopefully he's in a good headspace and he'll be able to play a finals game in Victoria. Not going to be the case this game against Adelaide here, but a win here would be magnificent. If we lose, we play the semi-final at home anyway. Dan McStay, he's got his own story to tell as of right now. Jordan De Goey, Mr. September, the X Factor player for us. Can he get his body right for one more month? Because if he can play at his best in finals, that's the point of difference. This is a sort of guy that can win a Norm Smith medal for us. Bo McCreary, he's fit to play here. Can his body hold up as well for one more month? His speed and pace and explosiveness, his toughness will be a point of difference up forward for us and also in the midfield pinch hitting there. Jack Crisp, most consecutive games for us, still been out of form in recent weeks, but he's returned to form against Melbourne and also against Adelaide. Can he keep that up? Braden Maynard, I'll be honest here, he's lucky to be a premiership player at Collingwood, but he's got a story to tell still. Isaac Quaynor, given what's happened in recent weeks, the online abuse he's been copping in recent weeks. Ned Long, that's a unique story. Wasn't wanted at Hawthorn. Now he's at Collingwood, breakout year. A little bit down on form and whatnot, but hopefully he's able to respond given the week off. Can he produce good form for one more month in the midfield? Ed Allen has his own story. His father, Ben, won a flag at Hawthorn in 1991. His father was the inaugural Freo captain. He's not a father-son linked player. I didn't meet the criteria, but he's at Collingwood. Can he do what his father did in 1991 if he's in the best 23 and win a premiership? That is, if he's named for it. Lipinski, He was the sub in 2023, the grand final, that is. He's got a chance to cement himself in the senior side, the full squad, that is, play a full game if we get to the grand final. Billy Frampton, say no more. Could we see two-time premiership player Billy Frampton? That would just be, that would just be magnificent. Two-time premiership player Billy Frampton. Darcy Cameron, can he win more flags at Collingwood than games played at Sydney? Bobby Hill, can he commit if he does get the chance to do so? Will Parker 2 years ago was a cricketer playing state league or state cricket. Now he's a footy player. Can he do something on the MCG that he never thought would be capable of doing in the last 2 or 3 years ago, whatever? Knocking myself in the spin, ironically. Rowan Steele wasn't dropped for the qualifying final, but he's in a unique spot. Does he get a full game? Is he our permanent sub? We'll find out. And then you've got guys like Mason Cox, who's just been called up. Can he win a second premiership? Tom Mitchell, Markov, Charlie Dean, all out of contract. Outside chances of playing finals footy here and also outside chances of getting another deal at Collingwood. And Charlie West would be an outside chance, but that's all watch this space. But I've just got a sneaky feeling about Charlie West. I don't know why, but Dan McStay dropped. If Mason Cox can't fire a shot and they can't trust Dan McStay, or if Brodie Mindcheck or Tim Memory go down due to an injury, does that open the door for Charlie West? That's all. Watch this space. But in terms of our injury list, Jeremy Howe 1 to 2 weeks away, Charlie West a week away, Bobby Hill still inactive, but that's all. Watch this space. And then guys like Jacob Ryan, Smith, they're in their own recoveries and whatnot, but they won't get called up. But that's all the depth players there. And that's all for this video. Thought I have to redeem myself, just not having many uploads besides the preview video. And thanks to copyright strikes, or not strikes, but can't get through the copyright system. Sorry about that, but this is the next video or the next best thing. I'm waffling on. I'll leave you guys all to it, but hopefully we have a competitive game. We can redeem ourselves against Adelaide, get our first top 8 win in months, and then who knows from there. But we've hit the fork in the road for finals. We go one or two ways, and we find out Thursday night. I'll leave you guys all to it. Be well, stay safe, enjoy the game, make pies out. Up the pie!